Today we're going to do a removing money blocks reading. So what that's going to look like is I'm going to draw 3 cards from the tarot here with clarifiers from this beautiful deck called the Yogic Path. The first card is going to represent what you think is blocking more abundance in your life, more money, but what actually is not. The second card is going to represent what the actual problem is, so what's actually blocking more abundance from flowing into your life. And the third card is going to represent what would create a breakthrough in this area of your life. So I've got the gut hit to start. Like oftentimes I'll draw all 3 cards when I do a spread, or whatever number of cards is in that spread, I'll draw all of them. But for some reason, for this particular reading, I got the gut hit to do it one at a time. So to get card 1 and get a clarifier and then kind of like debrief it, card 2, clarifier, debrief, card 3, clarifier, debrief, and then we can see what the whole picture is trying to tell us. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm looking for, oh, there it is, card 1, Judgment in reverse. All right. Wow, look at how beautiful it is. Look at that pink playing off these roses. That is so beautiful. Okay, so Judgment in reverse. And then from the Yogic Path deck, I would like a clarifier for card 1, please. Clarifier for card 1. It's that one. All right. And I have a lot of trouble pronouncing the names of this deck, the names in this deck. And so I'm going to do the English version because I feel like my pronunciation is not giving honor to the like sacredness of what I believe is Sanskrit. But before we get into this, just look at the beauty here. Look at how these 2 cards are like absolutely playing off of these flowers. So the pink is popping, and then over here we've got the purple. That's really beautiful. So once again, these cards represent what you believe is blocking your more abundance from flowing into your life, but what is actually not the problem. So there's a lot of clarity in getting that cleared up. Because the reality is we make a lot of assumptions in life, right, about everything. But one thing we do is we make assumptions about what problems are, and sometimes we don't check ourselves. So a lot of times I'll use tarot or oracle just to check myself, to be like, okay, here's where I've been investing my energy in trying to make this better. But if it's not getting better, then maybe I've made an assumption about what is actually wrong. So that's what we're trying to do here, is get clear about where you're making those assumptions, and then figure out, so the second card is going to be, again, what is actually wrong, what's actually blocking more money from flowing into your life, and then we'll get what will create a breakthrough. So let's look at these 2 cards. This is what you've been assuming is the problem, but is actually not the problem. Once again, it's Judgment in reverse, and then we'll have to look up the meaning of this card in English. Okay, so I'm really intrigued by how this card clarifies. This is a relatively new deck to me, so I've never seen this card before. But I'm going to start with the Judgment in reverse, and then we'll read from the guidebook what this card from the Yogic Path is saying. But Judgment in reverse, the energy it's giving me in this particular reading, so again, we're asking to get clear, or we're asking to remove money blocks. And the first card represents what we think is a problem, or what you think is blocking more abundance, what is actually not. So Judgment in reverse is telling me that the energy it's giving me is that you think there's like not like there isn't, it's not divine timing, or you're not getting like this or maybe, okay, the words that are coming to me are divine purpose. So I don't always get that with the Judgment card, but sometimes the Judgment card can mean like this, like calling from the universe. Like Judgment is a major arcana. So major arcana, one way that I interpret them versus minor arcana is when major arcana show up, we have less choice in the matter. And when minor arcana show up, we have more choice in the matter. Or our free will, our choices make more of an impact when minor arcana show up. When major arcana show up, our free will and our choices make less of an impact because there's a bigger plan at place with major arcana. So what it's telling me considering the spread is that you think like you're unclear about, you think more money is not coming to you because you're unclear about like a divine purpose, your big purpose in life, and you don't, and there doesn't feel like there's this like big calling. So there's kind of like this energy of confusion maybe, or just like almost like apathy to a certain extent of like, I don't know what my divine purpose is. It must not be like my divine timing for this. But the good news is that this is showing up. This is what you've assumed is the problem, but is not. So, and I say the good news because this can feel like you don't have a lot of agency, right? And so, and maybe that's one way to put it is what you like, well, I guess one way to put what might be blocking your more abundance from flowing into your life is this feeling of lack of agency. So let's clarify, let's read the guidebook with this yoga path card. Okay, so this is the card of the crown chakra, and it's in reverse, so I will read this paragraph. Have you been, oh my God, have you been feeling lost and creatively blocked? Isn't that interesting? So this is really clarifying the judgment, isn't it? Or excuse me, judgment in reverse. Because it's basically what I just said, like feeling that feeling of lost or apathy and feeling like, oh, and interesting is the crown chakra. So yeah, feeling like your crown chakra is blocked and that's the problem. So your crown chakra is essentially above your head, and it's like where we're supposed to receive directives from source, okay? And so it seems like you have felt like you're not receiving those directives, or it's not time for those directives, or something along those lines. There's this lost feeling, and you've been making the assumption that that is blocking your abundance. So let me finish this paragraph. Have you been feeling lost and creatively blocked? As if everyone else knows what they're doing, but you can't choose the next step. Yeah, so almost like everybody else knows their purpose, but what about my purpose? This is because your crown chakra has been blocked. You must realize that you are always tapped into universal energy. It is your free-thinking mind that often overrides this innate wisdom and makes you lose sight of your own. The universe is sending you messages through pebbles that later turn into boulders. It's time for you to plug back into the universe you came from. Take a social media break and use time to be in silence. Become mindful of all that you do. Let go of all unnecessary possessions, beliefs, and relationships. Study your ancestors and learn from your mistakes. Follow your curiosities and have faith in the future. This will pave the path back to the divine. Wow, so isn't that interesting? So there was almost some advice in there too, and I think what really stood out to me was like the pebble and the boulder analogy. So I wonder if you've been waiting for like these boulders, like these huge insights, in order to move your life forward, and you've been assuming because you haven't got those that's why your money is blocked, and you're almost like waiting on that. And so I think if there was advice in this card, it was just like, what if you allowed the pebbles to be signs and directives from source, signs, synchronicities, right? Instead of it having to be boulders. Okay, so let's keep going. For some reason, I'm feeling called to just place it like that. Looks kind of pretty, I guess. Okay, so now we're going to look at card 2. Card 2 is what is actually blocking money. So you could say what the real problem is. There it is. 7 of Swords. Did you see that fly out? Okay. And I guess I'll maybe just do what I did before. So I'm going to talk about this one, what's coming to me, and then we'll get a clarifier, and then read from the guidebook, since I don't know the yogic path deck very well. So, wow, 7 of Swords. Okay, so the first thing that I think is noteworthy is that this is minor arcana. So again, what we talked about before is it seems that it felt like you were waiting for the like big flashes of inspiration or a big divine plan, or understanding your big purpose in life or something along those lines, or a big call to change or something like that, and then when things weren't shifting in your finances, you felt like victimized because like it's out of your control. Well, what this reading is telling you is actually in your control, because minor arcana is showing up in terms of of what is actually wrong. So here's what you thought was wrong is not wrong. It is not the actual problem. Here is what is actually blocking more abundance from showing up in your life. It's minor arcana. So that means your free will, your choices will make more of a major difference. So like, just take a breath on that, because that feels like really good news. Like it feels like a relief for you. You don't have to be waiting on something that feels like it's outside of yourself. So with that being said, I'm going to grab a guidebook, a tarot guidebook. It's from the Modern Witch Tarot, because I really love her description of the Seven of Swords in particular. So let me read this to you verbatim. Okay, through Seven of Swords. It says, sometimes in life we can't be completely open and honest. A little lie, even just one of omission, might be tactfully required in a challenging situation. Maybe you're dealing with a truly awful coworker, or you're in an abusive relationship, and you need some secrets to keep yourself safe. Just be careful that your deceit isn't hurting yourself or others, and that it is truly the best way to deal with the situation. So the Seven of Swords really speaks to being in uncomfortable relationship dynamics. And so regardless of, like, the reason I love it so much that description is because it speaks to how, like, when we're in uncomfortable relationship dynamics, sometimes we do have to be what could be considered a little deceitful, right? But sometimes that is required to keep ourselves safe, right? So what am I trying to say? What is coming to me with this Seven of Swords, more than looking at that within yourself, although if there is a call to do that, go for it. But more than that, it's about looking at the toxic relationship dynamics that you might be involved in right now. Because one of the reasons that's really coming to me is in this depiction of the Seven of Swords, do you see these triangles here? What that feels like in this reading to me is like one of those like hourglasses. And so there's four of them here. And I almost am getting the sense that there's been this like, oh, I'll just put it out, there's things to clean up in this relationship. So whether that means, having difficult conversations, whether that means letting a person go, whether that means, like, if it's your job, like leaving your job and finding a new in collaborative environment or career environment, regardless of what that means, what this is giving me is, like, as there's four of them here, I'm getting the sense that almost like you've been telling yourself the story, like, it'll get better, or not this time, or right now is not the right time. Okay, that's basically, and then you go to the next hourglass and the next hourglass and the next hourglass. But clearly what this reading is saying, and I know it's not always easy to hear, so, but the reality is tarot is your best friend that always tells you the truth. It's saying that those difficult and toxic relationship dynamics, wherever those are existing in your life, whether it's in your romantic relationships, in your friendships, in your family, in your working environment, regardless, that is what is actually blocking the more abundance from coming in. And isn't it interesting? Like, and this actually has really been, like, I can resonate with this flow so far of the information coming through in my own personal journey, because it's been cleaning up relationship dynamics that has unlocked more and more abundance and flow in my life, which is weird, or it was weird to me at first, because I didn't initially see that connection. But more and more, it has become very clear to me that that connection makes sense, because basically relationship dynamics are how we're willing to exchange energy, right? And what is money? Money is energy. And so I think sometimes when we have blocks in our finances, it's trying to get our attention about how we're exchanging energy in other areas of our life that may or may not be conducive to abundance, conducive to ease, so on and so forth. And so it seems clear that, again, wherever you're dealing with less than clear relationship dynamics, that is what's actually blocking your abundance. So take a breath on that. Let it sink in. I know, again, it's not always easy to hear. And let's get a clarifier from the Yogic Path deck, please. There it is. Okay, that's karma in reverse. Wow, look how beautiful these cards go together. So wild to me. Okay, so let's look it up here in the guidebook. Karma in reverse, 23. Karma, the sum of one's actions. Negative karma is what represents reverse. Sometimes we take a wrong turn and move away from the direction of our dharma. At first, it can feel like a poke, which becomes a punch and can eventually manifest as an accident if you continue to ignore it. This isn't the universe going against you, but rather sending messages that you're taking the wrong course and must shift gears to come back into alignment with your dharma. Take a break from social media, television, and all social obligations, and use that time to reflect. When did things begin to be difficult? What decisions did you make around that time? What alternatives could have better suited your soul purpose? State your commitment to surrendering to your highest self and doing the work it takes to get there. Things will change as soon as you do. Wow. So, again, let's take a breath, because although this can be difficult to hear, and as I say that, I'm like speaking from my own experience when I've had similar insights and messages come through. I'm just getting this huge sense of relief, and I hope that's what you're feeling, because this definitely doesn't feel like a punishment or like a scolding. I mean, it doesn't feel like a scolding, but honestly, just like insight to move you in the direction that you are meant for. And that seems to be what you want. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just like kind of struck by like how we talked about how you thought the problem was like you didn't know your purpose. And then it talked about like pebbles versus boulders, like thinking your purpose is going to come in this big divine directive, but it might come more subtly, like little whispers that build to a big divine directive. And then in the karma reverse card, it was like, it talked about all those just like little steps off your path that you took, that now it feels like it feels like you're really off your path, right? Now, the good news is our path is so big that you can never actually get off of it. Do you know what I'm saying? So like take a breath on that. But it's also interesting, isn't it? Because we talked about the major arcana and minor arcana. So what karma in reverse was talking about was really a nod to the minor arcana, that it really is our big and seemingly small choices that we make day in and day out, moment in and moment out, that can lead us to feel very either disconnected from who we truly are and from Mother God, Mother Nature, and our purpose, our dharma, as it said in this guidebook, or on the other hand, can lead us into alignment with that. And so this feels like just like a beautiful permission slip, a beautiful call to just start taking baby steps back into alignment with who you actually are, right? Because I'm wondering too, with this Seven of Swords, since we spoke about relationship dynamics, if there's one or more relationships in your life that maybe probably even without you knowing it, you started to move away from who you actually are in order for the relationship to persist. Is that resonating? Or something along those lines. And this is just like a call to bring that to awareness so that you can move back in alignment with yourself and then with bigger callings. Because it starts with our relationship with ourselves, I think, right? Before we can like understand how we put that self energy into action for the greater purpose, right? And so it's like almost like as you look at what relationships might be pulling you away from who you actually are, and as you baby step by baby step with your free will start to move back in the direction of yourself, and those baby steps will make a huge impact because it's minor arcana. So remember, when minor arcana shows up, our baby steps are more major. And then that allows you to open up more to this grander purpose that I believe that you're feeling. But you're kind of like waiting on the grander purpose to unlock the flow. And it's almost like you have to unlock the flow through your stepping back, baby stepping on your huge path. Again, you can't get off your path, but like baby stepping in a different direction that's more in alignment with your innate being. Now, this third card I'm going to pull represents what would create a breakthrough. So it's kind of like advice from spirit, so to speak. Like, it's this one right there. What would create a breakthrough? The World. Ooh, now that's major arcana again. Isn't that interesting? Okay. And for whatever reason, I'm feeling called to get a clarifier right away. So let's just see. Clarifier for the World, please. What would create a breakthrough? There it is. Okay. Oh my gosh, look at this. You just like cannot make this up. And honestly, I read reversals intuitively, and this does not feel like it's supposed to be reversed. It feels like it's supposed to be upright. Look at how similar these cards are in colors. Oh my gosh, this is just wild. So beautiful. Maybe I'll do this for right now so we can see all of it. Okay, what a gorgeous reading. Holy cow. Okay, wow. Well, isn't it interesting? Here we have Judgment, which is card 20 in the Major Arcana. And then card 21, the final card in the Major Arcana, shows up for what would create a breakthrough. So I just find that very interesting. Now, the World card, like, look at this depiction of it. It to me sometimes can represent like integration. Like, look at all that's happening in here. So the World is like, it's almost like what we were talking about with being on your path. Like, your path is so big you can't get off. Well, with the World card, it's like the healing journey is so vast and wide. Everything can be integrated in. And so I wonder if there's like this fear of moving forward from where you're at, like especially in terms of relationships, because you're like, I just don't see how it could get better. I don't see how this could be integrated in. But there's something with the World that's like, no, you were intended. And so it's so weird. It's Major Arcana again, right? So there's a higher purpose. You were intended to go through this and to essentially heal it. And as you see it more in that way, and so by seeing it in that way, what I mean is like seeing whatever feels so big right now, like that it almost feels like you can't deal with it, zooming out a little bit, broadening your view a little bit, seeing life as a long time, and realizing although it feels that big right now, and it is noteworthy and significant, and there is things to deal with, it also is just going to be like a little, actually it feels like that circle right there matches this color. It's just going to look like that at some point. Do you know what I mean? Because you've dealt with it, because you've grown, because life is a long time. And so seeing your situation currently from that perspective feels like is the advice from Spirit in terms of what would create a breakthrough. So let's read this card here. Find it in the guidebook. Give me one moment, please. 107. Oh, wow. So this is the goddess of space and infinite possibility. My gosh, isn't that super similar to the World card in terms of what we just talked about? Like space, like, yes. Okay, I'm just going to read what it says. You have learned the art of creating space and are experiencing the cosmos that exists inside of you. Yes, all those different parts. This card comes to you in deep meditation, or this goddess, comes to you in deep meditation, in profound nature, in oceans and in silence. Her stillness guides you to enter deeper into the cosmic web of potentials. Doesn't that in the World card, doesn't that kind of feel like the cosmic web of potentials? That's so cool. Okay. Her stillness guides you to enter deeper into the cosmic web of potentials that exist for you in the present moment. Continue making time for whatever brings you to a point of total stillness. That is where your true self resides. Know that you are not just part of the earth, but the earth is also a part of you, and you are lovingly held by her presence. Now, what was coming to me as I was reading is I almost wonder if I'm supposed to read the reverse one too, because remember this came out in reverse, and then I was like, I feel like it's upright. I wonder if it was both. So I'm going to read the reverse paragraph as well. Create space between your breaths and between your thoughts. Life can get a little too crowded, and this goddess is asking you to make space for your highest self to shine through. Notice your breath and its rhythms. Slow down each breath until you can feel the pause between inhales and exhales. Continue breathing deeply until it almost feels like you aren't breathing. The spaces have become longer and the breaths faint. This is how you experience an advanced meditation state. Wow. So beautiful. Okay, take a peek if you're looking at the video before I just how these cards play off of one another. I just can't get over it. Okay, so now I'm going to do this, and let's just summarize this. Wow. Now look at how they play off. I just love the colors. It's so beautiful. And I think it's such a sign that, like, just validation that these were definitely clarifiers, that spirit knows your situation, is intimate with your situation, and is ready to help. So we started with card 1, representing what you thought was blocking your money, but what actually isn't. Judgment in reverse, telling us that you were kind of waiting on this big grand gesture from the universe to make a change, or this big grand purpose to start moving in that direction. But the good news is that isn't actually the problem. What is actually the problem is the Seven of Swords. So it's relationship dynamics that are not healthy. And the more you clean that up, the more you are telling the universe, this is how I'm willing to exchange energy in a healthy way. So as you are willing to exchange energy in more of a healthy way, you are going to remove the blocks to abundance, so more money can flow to you in a healthy, robust way as well. And the breakthrough is really or advice from spirit of what would create a breakthrough is realizing that you want to see from an expansive lens, not like a fixated lens. So when we're in a fixated lens, then the Seven of Swords stuff is going to feel very big, bigger than you, right? But if we pull back a little bit from the opposite of fixation, realize life is a really long time, and you're an expansive being, and you're one aspect of the cosmos, and seeing more from that lens, you're going to give yourself more permission to make the changes that might seem difficult to make, but you are definitely up for. And this clarifier from the yogic path, this goddess, definitely seemed like a call to stillness, to space, to slowing down, so that you can hear the next steps that you need to take. And I really do think it's just like a step-by-step journey. It's the baby steps are going to compound. So there might be times when big decisions need to be made, but don't put that pressure on yourself right away. Allow this to be a step-by-step journey and realize that those are going to make a bigger impact than you think. And as you're willing to bathe in stillness, you're going to get more and more reconnected, not only with yourself, but also with Mother God. And then she as in your higher self, and Mother God, maybe one and the same, however you think of spirit. But there's going to be direction there for you with what and how to take these baby steps. And so I feel there's definitely like a cleaning up to beauty energy. I don't know why those words are coming. Like you're cleaning something up to move towards more beauty. Because there's just like an immense amount of beauty in this reading. And again, I hope that you're feeling like an immense amount of relief too, because this is like far from a scolding, but really like a validation that spirit knows where you're at, you are seen, you are held, And this is an invitation to adjust some things energetically, in terms of like how you're seeing things, and then therefore the actions you're taking, so that you can actually move towards relief and more abundance, a healthier flow of energy. So I'm excited for you. I also understand, Seven of Swords is not easy energy sometimes to hear. So I also understand, or I just want to acknowledge that the discomfort that you might feel hearing this, or just the discomfort that you might be in your life. You're not alone. Like this seems to be the time of cleaning up relationship dynamics. So I think you're far, far, far from alone. And maybe that's one of the things the World card wants to say too, is just like when you're in stillness, you're going to know that not only are you not alone in terms of like spirit being there with you, but truly so many other people are embarking on this journey of looking at energetic agreements, how we're each have agency over our energy, how we come into relationship with people, and cleaning it up to move towards more beauty and abundance.